Chris Mannix for the crossover alongside Rohan Nadkarni and Michael Shapiro. Guys, the trade deadline has come and gone. Let's take a look at some of the deadline losers. Rohan, who was the biggest loser coming out of last week?
So this might be an off-the-board pick, Chris, but I'm actually going to go with the Philadelphia 76ers. Not because they stood pat. They actually made a pretty good move picking up a guy like George Hill, a two-way player, a 3-and-D guy who can contribute to them in a postseason. The reason I'm picking the Sixers here is because I think they were rumored as a destination for Kyle Lowry. This was never going to be an easy trade to pull off. Kyle Lowry is making so much money. It wasn't easy for Daryl Morey to put a trade together that wouldn't sacrifice a rotation piece or two. I just think he was the exact kind of guy they needed to put them into another level, to add to their championship case. I think they're in a tough spot right now. They have an MVP caliber player in Joel Embiid, but are we sure they're better than the Bucks and Nets? I'm not sure. I think so much of their playoff hopes kind of hinge on Embiid being that matchup problem against everyone else in the East. I think a guy like Lowry really could have raised their ceiling, and the fact that he was willing to go there, they just couldn't make it work. That, to me, I think they're going to regret this deadline a little bit.
Rohan cited a contender. I'll cite a real non-contender here. I think the Houston Rockets had a pretty rough deadline week there. They gave away PJ Tucker for really not anything. They didn't get a real single young blue chip piece from the Miami Heat in the Victor Oladipo trade. Now, I'm not necessarily killing those two specific deals in themselves, but when you kind of look at the broader scheme of things over the past, numerous months dating back to the Harden trade, really shows kind of a rough set of thinking from the Rockets here. I think the Oladipo move specifically, I think when they acquired him and chose him effectively over Karis LeVert, they thought they were going to be able to either keep Oladipo and grow him as a piece for their young core, or rehabilitate his value and make them a valuable piece on the trade market. Neither of those things happened. They shipped Oladipo away from nothing. They wanted to get a few second-round picks for PJ Tucker. They didn't get that. And so the Rockets here are kind of done shedding assets with the lottery as really their only kind of salvage out of the rut that they're currently in.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Golden State Warriors, specifically the fact that the Warriors were not able to find a trading partner for Kelly Oubre. Now, Kelly Oubre, good player, going to help them make a playoff push this year. But if you're Golden State, you're thinking about next year. And there's a decent chance that Kelly Oubre is not going to be part of your team as an unrestricted free agent next summer. Given that, why not go out and try to get some kind of player or draft compensation that might be able to help you over the next 3 or 4 years? The new window for the Golden State Warriors opens next season when Klay Thompson presumably returns healthy, Steph Curry back at full strength, James Wiseman in year 2 of his career, and the Warriors can get back in the mix in the Western Conference. If it turns out that Oubre leaves and they get nothing in return, it will be a disappointing deadline for Golden State. But Rohan, let me ask you this, because you mentioned Kyle Lowry. Are the Raptors winners or losers at the trade deadline because they didn't find a home for Kyle Lowry?
I mean, it's hard to say they're winners. I wouldn't say they're losers necessarily, but if I had to pick, I would say losers, only because you do run the risk of him leaving as a free agent in the summer and not getting anything back for him. I do feel for Masai Ujiri. The Raptors are in such a unique position this year, obviously playing all their games in Tampa. Lowry is such a fan favorite. He's synonymous with the franchise. The idea of trading him before he got a chance to play a proper final home game, I do think, I'll say this for the Raptors, they have an opportunity to do this all over again, right? They have an opportunity to do a sign and trade this summer with Kyle Lowry, which would open up his options to go to a team that didn't have cap space. They can re-sign him to a short-term deal, do this all over again next year at the trade deadline. They also have a pretty good roster. I mean, they have a chance to run it back with these guys next year. Fred VanVleet, Pascal Siakam continue to ascend. So they are in a weird middle zone, but it's been just hard to judge them all year, considering just how strange the season has been for them particularly.
Yeah, I just don't see them getting anything more than a trade exception for Lowry next summer. And maybe that is of value, but a year from now, if it turns out that the Raptors could have had Duncan Robinson in a deal with Miami or some combination of players and picks from the LA Lakers, they may look back on this as being an opportunity missed as well. For more, check us out over at SI.com.